Hi, my name is Pastor Hal York, and welcome to Truth in the Trenches. Today we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 30, verses 21 to 23. Under three things the earth quakes, and under four it cannot bear up. Under a slave when he becomes king, and a fool when he's satisfied with food. Under an unloved woman when she gets a husband, and a maidservant when she supplants her mistress. So we have a servant, a fool, an unloved woman, and a maidservant. The four individuals here are described as unbearable because they have been given things they cannot enjoy or manage wisely. And one translation calls it the earth is perturbed. Now, the word perturb means to stand in awe, to disquiet, to fall out, to fret, to provoke, to quake, and to rage. And we see these very definitions show up in different translations. One translation says, under three things the earth quakes. Under three things the earth trembles. For three things the earth is disquieted. So we see all those variables in different translations. But the point I want to make today in this talk is simply this. The circumstances don't change us. They simply reveal what we are on the inside. The tone of these verses suggests that as we observe these four individuals experiencing blessings or unexpected blessings, even undeserved opportunities in their lives, they show little appreciation for the gifts that have come their way, and consequently their behavior becomes unbearable, if not intolerable. Have you ever watched somebody get a really huge break in their life? Maybe it's a young person right out of college. They get an unbelievable opportunity at a firm where they were hoping to work and they get good pay, only to see them completely mess it up in a matter of months, if not weeks, because of their arrogance or sense of entitlement. You can't help but shake your head in disbelief, wondering how they managed to mess up such a glorious opportunity. Well, circumstances don't change us. They simply reveal what we are on the inside. And it's the attitudes of the heart of these people that is the issue. Sometimes we feel sorry for the slave or the foolish person or the unloved or maybe lonely woman or person who has a supportive role or assistant role. We hear their constant complaints, they're unappreciated and so on. We hear their whining, and if I only had the opportunity to stop being a servant and being a king, or being single and be married, or whatever. If I stopped being a bridesmaid and stuff, if I could only be the bride once. If they just had the opportunity to be a leader in leadership, if they always get what they wanted, or if they could just find the right spouse or be appreciated, maybe they would cheer up. And so we give them a break. I mean, that's all they need. Once they get what they think they need, their attitudes will change. They will be thankful. They will start being more responsible. They will blossom into the person they really are. They will become loving instead of hateful. But a servant does not always have a servant's heart. If he does, that servant's heart will demonstrate itself when he gets the opportunity to lead. But a servant who is proud and feels overlooked and seeks power will be unbearable when he rules. A fool who is ruled by his desires and emotions becomes even more intolerable when those desires are met. One would not expect a hateful woman to be able to find someone to marry her, but when she does, that hate is not replaced by love and thankfulness, but the hate destroys her home and her marriage. It's one thing to be a leader, but wanting to be a leader doesn't make you one. And when you give leadership out of pity or sympathy to someone who threatens to quit or leave if they don't get it, everyone suffers. People shake their heads and say, how did they ever get in that position? Contentment and happiness is not something we chase. It's not the next promotion. It's not a new spouse. It's not a new job. It's not a new church. It comes from the heart, doing whatever we do for the glory of God, out of humility and being thankful and recognizing, as James 1:17 says, every good thing and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of light, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow. Paul talks about this in Philippians 4:11-13. Not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance. I know how to get along with humble means. I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. And what's the secret? I can do all things through Christ, who strengthens me. Those whom providence has elevated to positions of honor from humble beginnings should be particularly wary of pride and arrogance. as these traits can become their worst insufferable and inexcusable faults. It is important for them to remain humble by remembering their origins and the struggles they have overcome. I think this simple quote sums up these verses like this: "Everywhere I go, there I am." Remember, circumstances don't change us. They simply reveal who we really are. And I come across this quote by Johnny Ardavanis. I think it helps us to understand it as well and reminds us of a very important principle that we just read. You could have 1,000 do-overs, and every single do-over you would prove to be what you are at your very core. Now think about that. You could have 1,000 do-overs, and every single do-over you would prove to be what you are at your very core. We don't need a do-over. We need to be born again. We need a new heart. And when we get a new heart, we become a new creation with new attitudes and desires. And those desires and attitudes manifest themselves wherever we are, whatever circumstance we find ourselves in. We've learned to be content. We learn to have joy. And so the next time you see somebody really mess it up, just remember these verses. Under 3 things the earth quakes. Under 4, it cannot bear up. Under a slave when he becomes king, and a fool when he's satisfied with food. Under an unloved woman when she gets a husband, and a maidservant when she supplants her mistress. Circumstances don't change us. They simply reveal what we really are. So may this truth guide us and guard us in the trenches of life as we seek to live our lives for the glory of God and the good of others. May God bless.